recording.
Okay, here we go. Lost track of where I was. I heard Allan.
They can follow their own path here.
There you go.
Good. Go ahead.
Bob and Jamil.
Sure. So we're in transition today. We're about to leave on a trip, so I'm not sure if we'll be here for the entire call, but happy to be here for what we can be here for. And yeah. And here with Kelly, Bryce, and Kelly, would you like to say a quick hi to folks?
Quick hi.
All right. Patient. All right, thank you all.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jamil Papatia. I have been absent from many NVC circles that I've been longing for, and this ubiquitous topic seems like a good place to get back into my rhythm.
Glad you're here. Nice to meet you.
You as well.
I think that's everybody. Is that right? Okay, so we'll start the 40 minutes of dialogue. And Myra, would you like to start today?
Sure. So we're going to go back to the initial format. Jim, for clarity, we're going to go back to the initial format, in which is the dialogue, and then how people feel in the moment in regards to the dialogue. And then at some point, we're going to figure out how to incorporate reactions and voices, but we haven't yet. So today, we're going to use the format that has already proven to be helpful to us. Jim, I just want to clarify.
Yep, that's what I have in the chat.
So that's what you have.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Yeah, I'll start. So, Allan, let me bring you up here so I can see you better. Yeah. So, Allan, I am so excited because I think I have a new perspective on our dilemma. I'm calling it a dilemma, not yours and mine, but in the network. And so I now think that that I'd like to have a different approach. Although, wait, let's see. There's something's happening here. Let me make sure. Okay, now. So Allan, I'd like to share with you a new understanding I have of the dilemma, or also known as the conflict or schism, however we want to call it. So the issue is the use of these words. These words are the terms that we put on the invitation: BIPOC, lens, white supremacy, et cetera. The use of these words is not NVC. And the other side is the use of these words is NVC. So I'm capturing the dilemma as I understand it.
So I want to just get with you on this, or get into the flow of it.
Yes.
The dilemma, and that's a term that says it better for you.
Yes.
Is that the words that you just mentioned are not NVC and also are NVC.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Right. So let me see here. So I think both statements are true. I think that it's a matter of context. For example, there in the NVC book, Marshall says, I have identified specific forms of language that I believe contribute to our behaving violently towards each other and ourselves. So yes, we need to be very careful about words because they can contribute to violence. Yes, yes, yes. On the other hand, there are in the book on what is it called? Speaking Peace, Marshall says, I'm quoting again.
Yes.
It is the structure that is the problem, not the individuals. So he uses the word structure. And then in addition, he says, domination societies, he uses that word, that concept, and he describes it as where the people who think they are superior control others. So that, and then he also uses the word gangs, groups that behave in ways that we don't like. So I think it depends on whether it's an interpersonal dialogue. If I'm talking to the head of the Ku Klux Klan and I want to connect, I'm not going to use white supremacy because the chances that we connect are going to decrease. And so I am going to set those concepts aside and I'm going to speak from the heart, moment by moment. I'm going to be in the heart of my experience and connect from that place, at least attempt to connect. But if currently I'm having discussions with Elke and Martha. If I am in the privacy of that little small group, we might use that word, white supremacy, for the purpose of our discussion. So I think the problem is different. And from my perspective, the problem is a different thing. The problem we're having stems from something else other than whether we can use those words and still be in the field of NVC, meaning the field of natural care, or not. So I'm going to pause there, and then I'd like to tell you what I think the problem is from my view.
So it is depending upon the interaction, I think is what you're saying. If you are interacting with someone, and if it is a personal interaction, then you will not use words that you believe will alienate them or distance them from you or put them off.
Yes.
Or so. And and Marshall said that. And you, from the quote that you had, that he said that. But when you are with colleagues, then those words do connect. They communicate, and then it's absolutely fine.
Yes. So even when I'm with colleagues, I want to make sure of the purpose. Is my purpose to study larger patterns? Is my purpose to study larger patterns for the purpose of, number one, do no harm inadvertently. Number two, contribute to a world that works for all. Is that my purpose, or is my purpose to win the argument? Or is my purpose to be right? I want to be clear about my purpose.
If the purpose is to study patterns, the intention is very important. That's crucial.
Yes.
If it is to study patterns, then you're saying we can use words that then are pattern words, or words that point to patterns. Is that what you're saying?
To larger patterns.
To larger patterns.
For the purpose of
not
doing harm, not doing inadvertently, raise my awareness so that I don't do harm inadvertently. Number one. Number two, so that I can help create a world that works for all.
If your purpose is one in which the intention is to create a world in which you do not do harm, and also, then what was the other?
To help create, to contribute to a world a world that works for all.
So I just want to say those words to take them in.
Sure.
To contribute to a world that works for all.
Yes.
Mhm.
Then I allow myself to use those words,
Uh-huh.
those terms. Mhm. If I'm clear about those two things.
Yes.
Mhm.
I want to find a way, you're saying. I want to have very clear in my mind, I'm saying this for myself as well as you,
Yes.
but more for
Yes, yes.
myself here.
Mhm.
I want to find a way to talk about patterns that do no harm and work to create a world that works for all.
Mhm. Yes.
And then I have the freedom to it makes no difference what language I use, if that's my intent.
Mhm. Yeah. And in certain contexts,
Uh-huh.
which you already
Mhm.
acknowledged.
Yes. Yeah. If I'm with colleagues who also have that intent, is what I think
Yes.
you're saying. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I think here's my
Mhm.
take on the problem.
Okay.
It's not the use of such words or not, but the problem is that they stimulate guilt and shame in some people,
Mhm.
and they can stimulate in guilt and shame, and they can stimulate resentment in others. The power of words. And so people get triggered and they don't realize that they're triggered. Is my perception, I could be wrong. And we disconnect from the energy of natural compassion and go into right and wrong thinking. Let me speak for myself. I may either experience guilt and shame, depending on the topic,
Mhm.
or I may experience resentment. And if I am triggered, I may go into the energy of being right, righteousness, or proving that I am right, or wanting to win the argument because I'm triggered and I don't realize it.
They can trigger.
They can trigger. Thank you.
And then a different energy is brought forth.
Yes.
And you come from a different energy
Yes.
then. And the energy is one of right, wrong, arguing, whatever, right, wrong,
Yeah.
or proving the other person wrong. Something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's from a different, it evokes a different energy, is what you're saying, when
Yes.
you are triggered.
Yes. And especially if I don't realize that I'm triggered,
Mhm.
I'm going to start fighting with you,
Yes,
Allan,
yeah, right.
if I don't know that I'm triggered. I'm
Yes,
going to try to prove my point and prove that I'm right.
yeah. Right. It's easy to be triggered and not know that you're triggered.
Yes. Especially with these words.
With these words, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
right. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes. So then the last part, and then I'm done, and I'll invite your reaction, is this.
Mhm.
For me personally, the key is self-awareness.
Mhm.
And the crucial part for me is, am I self-connected? By that I mean, am I connected to the energy of natural care and compassion for all?
Yes. Most critical, or most central, or most core, or something like that, is self-awareness.
Yes.
And in the self-awareness, it is the connection to life energy.
Yes,
Right.
life-serving energy.
Yeah, life-serving energy. Yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
if I am self-connected, I trust myself.
Yes, yes, yeah. Right.
If I'm not, I don't trust myself. If I'm not self-connected, I cannot use those words.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So do I have enough awareness to recognize when I am self-connected or not?
Mhm. Most important is what you're saying, and where your understanding comes from all of this is, are you self-connected? And
Yes.
when you are self-connected, when you are in that awareness, then it makes no difference
Yeah,
what words you use.
exactly. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah, yes.
So to be transparent,
Mhm.
I like to call this, am I connected to the energy of love?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Our
yes.
word for it
Right.
is natural care,
Mhm,
etc. But I like to call it, am I connected to the energy of love?
mhm,
That sums it up for me.
mhm. For you, it is, the energy is one of love.
Yes. Yes.
Other people may call it different things,
Yeah.
and maybe you can even at times, but for you, it is that grasp the energy, that says it. Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yes, yeah,
Oh, thank you. I feel
Yeah.
completion.
yeah, 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 yeah,
I'd like to invite your reaction when you're ready.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know if I'm in disagreement with you. That is to say, I wouldn't have the same words, but that is to say, if I can connect within myself with if I can take the time and go to the level within myself in which, and speak from that, and I don't even know what to call that level. But if I can get that connection, then whatever my words are or my thoughts, for me, they are already life-serving,
Yes.
because that's the thing I'm connected to. I'm connected to my sense of life. That's one description of it, but take that away. I'm connected to, that's what I think Marshall meant when he said, connecting to life,
Mhm.
that it is connected to some kind of a sense within. And I'll say it differently. That is before I have words.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's energy or whatever it is, but I do know the sense of it.
Yes.
So in that way, I feel like I'm in agreement
Mhm.
with you,
Mhm.
that when coming from there. And for me, what NVC is about is giving us guides to get connected.
Yes.
Now, I've had a little coffee, and I'm going to have some more too. So I'm a little jittery. So am I there now? I don't feel quite there. but doing this with you helps me get there. And the interchanges that we've had, very brief, but via email today regarding our formaters. So, I felt those. I felt, yeah, there's Myra.
Thankfully, thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, oh,
Thank you.
yeah. Oh, yeah. We're together on this, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. And there were certain words that you used that helped me get there. You said, oh, yeah, it's fragile.
Hmm.
You may remember that
Mhm.
in one email or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Fragile and precious or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So then I would agree that yes and no.
Mhm.
And I think that I want to get to my fear and what I think is happening in NVC.
Mhm.
Well, it's my primary fear. I don't think that this is a common understanding.
Mhm.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
And my sense is that that's my reaction. I don't think this is common at all. I don't think that I fear that not many CTs know this.
Hmm.
Say that to me, please. I don't want to. That's not a demand.
No, no.
I
I
just want
hear it
to.
as a
Yeah.
request.
Yeah.
So Alan, there's a way in which we are on the same page. We have a similar understanding of the being connected to that place, I'm going to call it,
Yes.
is is crucial for you as well, and that you trust your words when you're in that place, and that you don't seem to disagree with me in what I said before. Your concern is that your fear is that it doesn't seem to be a prevalent approach, understanding, perspective in the network.
Right.
And if without that, then you're very worried about these other.
We're not doing the same thing.
Yeah.
We're not. We're in two different things.
Yeah.
Because the words are used to talk about patterns or systems or something as if they are prior to and actually structure our reaction.
I want to get this. The words are used as systems and structures as if they are prior to self-connection.
Yeah, to this thing. What
this
we're
thing
calling
that we're this place.
Right. Yes. They are not seen. They are not seen nor used as patterns, but are presented as if this is the way life is. They're not seen as patterns. They're not presented as patterns. This is the way life is. And then we're into right, wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you may want to say that, but I can go on from there.
Up to you. So do
Okay.
you want me to capture that?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
So, Allan, let me see if I'm with you. Is it that where you feel dismay is
Mhm.
when you hear those concepts presented in such a way that separate us? Is right and wrong thinking that separate and disconnect us, as if this is the reality, this is true, ultimate truth, and this is it.
Right. Yes.
And the result of it is what you worry about.
Yes.
The lack of awareness that these are fluid patterns, and that the fact that they disconnect us, ultimately that's your worry, that they disconnect us and can result in separation and all the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Am I with you?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And it's partly my understanding of it is because I've thought about this a lot, is that it has to do with the concepts themselves.
Mhm. Yes, I get
That
it.
it has to do with not understanding that concepts are a product of the mind.
Mhm. Yeah.
That we create the concepts.
Yes, 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 yes. For example, now please.
Yeah, I want
Please, Allan.
a little bit more if I
Please.
can, if you can hold that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. And I attribute that to the fact that the concepts are helpful. To call a thing a tree is to call it anything. All of these are helpful in living. And at least my thinking about this is that it is the very fact of the helpfulness that then has us disconnecting from where they come, from where they come from. That's what I think, anyhow. There's something about the way that it is. Yes, that's what I think. I think it is their helpfulness that takes us from, oh, well, then they present themselves then as with the quality of being real. Like we think there is such a thing as a tree. Well, and then we get away from NBC. We get away from, well, what I'm observing is that thing there, and I'm calling that a tree.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go beyond that. I'm observing this this pattern, but I don't observe it as a pattern. I'm saying, oh, well, that's what is. This is very complicated. At least I think it is, anyhow.
For me too. Mm-hmm.
And then when you see it as a pattern and have the idea, oh, this is helpful, and so it must be what is, what happens is that not only are you disconnected from where it comes, but are disconnected for 1 million other ways of looking at this thing.
Mm-hmm.
From all other patterns that could be used, all other theories that could be used, all other concepts that could be used.
Mm-hmm. So concretely, let's use a concrete example.
Okay.
So that I can grasp what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, so if we use the word white supremacy, for example,
yes.
It has use, it has helpfulness, it can be useful, and because to address certain tragic behaviors and to rectify them, for example.
Yeah.
But the problem is if I use that pattern or those words and think because they are helpful, this is it, this is the truth, without thinking or considering that there could be other explanations to what I'm naming white supremacy. Is
Yeah.
that part of it? Am
Yes. And that gets lost. And then we're just,
that part gets lost. I
and-
believe I possess the truth. That's
Mhm.
it. That's the
Right.
ultimate
Yes.
truth.
Yes. And then we're immediately disconnected. The connection between the two people talking, unless we're in with colleagues, like you were saying earlier. So-and-so's a jerk. Oh, of course they're a jerk.
Yeah, we can laugh together. Yes.
Yeah, yes.
But we know that that's our interpretation. That
Well,
they could
I
be-
think in that case, we don't know.
Oh, got it. Oh,
Which is
yeah,
the power of making an observation.
yeah.
Is because in the making of an observation, there's instantly, well, how are they a jerk? Well, and let me think. I mean, we know they are, but how are they? Well,
So,
and then it takes work. It takes work to identify the thing. Or let's do white supremacy to go to that. So what is that white supremacy? Well, let me think. Well, and then you have to get to an observation. And then we can connect. Do we call that white supremacy or do we call it something else?
Mhm.
And that's one objection. I have another too, but that's a big objection for me. And I don't think I think that the concepts themselves take people away from where they come, from the awareness of their coming, that we are using them. And that
Mhm.
there are other ways to think about or look at or react to this thing.
Yes. Mhm. Yeah, that is the power and the peril of concepts.
Power and peril.
Mhm.
Yes, thank you for that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's your fear.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Whereas if we then start thinking about it in observation terms, we may arrive at a different conclusion. We might have a different way of looking at the situation.
Yeah, yes.
We remain open and open to other person's perspectives or
Yes,
other ways
yes.
of looking at it.
Yes, right. Yeah. Which is the power of OFNR,
Mhm.
because it doesn't go there.
Mhm.
It goes to that clerk spoke to you differently than they spoke to me. And I wonder if it has anything to do with how they are identifying you. And I feel angry when I have that thought, but I also feel sad when I have that thought because of the possibility of that, because I want us to be treated the same, with the same kind of care. I didn't hear that as being careful in the way they talk to you.
Mhm. So that's why in situations like that, you want us to be aware that we are using concepts, and that they're useful, but they can be tricky and they can disconnect us. And a way to go back to the source of connection is to use OFNR, and that's why you are such a strong proponent of staying with OFNR.
Staying with OFNR or becoming aware of where OFNR takes you.
Okay, okay. Connecting to
Yes, yes.
that place, to that
Yes,
field.
right. And I have more, but now I've talked for a long time, so I give you a chance to respond. There is another huge
Thank you.
objection that I have, but I don't
Yeah.
think that we'll have time for that here today.
Well,
We'll see, but
why don't I would like to hear your huge objection, really, because it's important for me. I want to get it.
my fear
Before I
is
react, even.
okay. So the other thing is that when we use DEI and privilege and white supremacy and decolonization, those are all terms from not endemic to NVC. And they're all terms from the political left. And to the extent that we use them, and we do, they're sprinkled through our trainer agreement and through everything now on the board, and we are now identified as a political left organization, which is absolutely antithetical to what Marshall was doing. There's no political position, no identification at all with right or left. And there's no one who would be on the right. In the United States, we call it conservative. That's not called, that term varies throughout the world. So there's no one on the right who could belong to NVC with the way that we are now. So I think that we would be dismissed, that we're dismissed by a whole portion of the population. Oh, you're all woke. That's as much I have both of those fears there. And this one is just, it is incredibly disturbing to me.
Yeah, I think I get it, Allan. I think I get it. I would not want that to happen to us, to not be taken seriously by a whole group of people, a huge part of the population, because of our language, because they think that we're not open to them, that we have preconceived notions about them, and that they're not going to even give us the time of day. And in so doing, we're not working towards a world that works for all.
I mean, one thought that I have that I'll stop is that in Florida, Marshall's book would be banned from libraries. I mean, it's not well enough known to be banned yet, but I have a hunch that it would be banned. It's a leftist book. Now, not Marshall's book, but if people got wind of the kind of conversation that is prevalent in the United States or in NBC. So I take that back, because it wouldn't be Marshall's book itself. So I want to take that back. That's not a apt example. But I do think Roxy's book would be banned. And Sarah Payton's, I don't know. There are other things that would be banned, because there's attributed, oh, that's woke.
Yeah.
But that's a different thing. I want to tread carefully there. I may want to, because, yeah. So that's my other thing. That's my huge objection.
Yes. Your huge objection is that Marshall took pains in not identifying himself with any political persuasion or any religion. He was very clear about that. And that if we, or when we use words that are identify us with a certain political group, then many people will dismiss us, will dismiss not just us, they will dismiss NVC and
Yes,
the
yes,
potential that it has to bring us together.
yeah. Yeah.
And that is your huge objection to the use of such words as they or BIPOC or decolonization, etc.
Right.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. No, I totally get it. And here's the sad part is that this is precisely what we're trying to address, this huge polarization.
Yeah.
And if people don't want to associate or would be afraid to associate with us because of our vocabulary, then it would be tragic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I get your, consternation. Mm-hmm. Am I with you? Did I capture it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a couple of different levels there. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So are you ready for me to react?
Yes.
So then I think we only have
About 1 minute left, unless you want to extend.
1 minute left. Okay, so in 1 minute, I want to react. So then the question for me becomes, Allan, so how do we come together? Is that something that I would invite you and me to explore? How do we come together? And I'm not asking for, of course, I'm not asking for a solution at this moment. My question is, given that we have similar understandings in many ways, how do we come together? Is that something you'd be willing to explore?
You're saying, is that the next step?
Yes.
Then do I think then, given what we've done so far, that the next step is to ask that question?
Mm-hmm.
Well, first I would like to hear your, let me see. I would like to hear from you, so we can't do that today. What happens?
To react to what you just said, to major concerns. I will. I will next time. Yeah. I will.
That's what I want.
Sure, I can
because
do
I
that.
want to, because what I heard in your responding to me was your understanding, and I don't know what happened to you.
Yes.
As a result of that.
Yes. I'll be happy to respond thoroughly next time. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jim, back to you.
Yeah. I am trying to figure out how to remove this bug. There we go. Great. So thank you. Maybe we just do a quick round of needs met or gifts received or something along those lines, starting with you, Myra, and then going to Allan. Any needs met or gifts received from the discussion?
Yeah. For me, needs met is to be heard and understood. And gifts received is to having a deeper understanding of Allan's concerns. And a new understanding of Allan's concerns. Yeah, I'm done.
Allan, and then Redwan.
Well, what I will want to sit with is my empathizing with Myra, because the way that she framed the whole thing is a different framing for me. And although I took it in, although I got it, I want to let that settle in and see what happens to me from that. So and I'm very glad about that. I'm very glad to hear that. So that's my gratitude and what I got.
Thanks. Redwan, if you have anything to add in terms of gifts received or needs met, and then hope.
Oh, I'm a little tired now, and it's very, very interesting to listen to you, Allan and Myra. And I don't have enough word to speak about what I feel when I hear you. And I prefer to stay with that and come back later, perhaps.
Thank you. Hope, and then Jacinth.
I'm grateful for your transparency and your authenticity and your ability to stay with each other and not worry about whether you get to where you thought you might get to today, to keep it in a to be continued. Thank you.
Thanks, Hope. Jacinth, and then Pam.
I'm very grateful. Thank you very much. I stay with the questions. It's really important to me. It opens the heart, because if we want to meet in that field where there's no right or wrong, we have to be open to questions ourselves and our ideas. So thank you very much.
Thank you for hanging in there with us, Jacinth.
Yes.
Pam, and then Hortensia. Needs met or gifts received.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything new from what other people have said, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful to hear and witness things.
Hortensia, and then Jamil.
I met needs of clarity and comprehension and
Hortensia, I can't hear you. Would you speak up a little bit?
I'm grateful for I met needs of clarity and understanding. What was for both of you inside, and I'm very grateful for because I feel hope that we can find a way to understand and to listen to each other. And yes, hope, grateful. Thank you.
Jamil, and then Bob.
Yeah, I'd like to acknowledge the gift that Allan has offered me in naming that, and the way he languaged it was conservatives kind of writing us off. I would identify myself as a morally and religiously conservative person, and yet I'm a certified trainer. So I'm at once doing the writing off as well as being written off. And it's a bit hurtful to be here in that regard. But I'm grateful for it.
Thank you, Jamil. Bob, and then Alex.
I'm appreciating that hearing things framed just a little bit differently than they've been framed before, and it offers a little bit of hope in me for the conversation progressing. There's still some wondering in me about whether areas that have been stuck in the conversation are still stuck and beneath the surface. But there's sort of some new potential that might go somewhere. So I'm glad to be with this step of the journey, to be following along and potentially participating again at some stage. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Alex, and then Jory.
Yeah, I'm in awe of Myra's new sort of different formulation and her ability and willingness to hear. I'm impressed. There were several things that got I resonate to Bob's, I'll say, glimpse of a possible light at the end of the tunnel. I'll use different language than Bob used. And what came to mind as Myra spoke about the danger of being disconnected from ourselves and being unaware of it, that's where things can get really off the rails. And I'm also remembering a friend, a lawyer friend who got involved with NVC, who used to ask herself, am I trying to make a case or am I trying to make a connection? And it reminds me that much more of what I've seen on the global home, I characterize as trying to make a case. And so I have some optimism, and I also like Myra ending on what I will paraphrase as, so where do we go now? What do we do next? How can we get to that? At the core, we share a dream here, and we, to a great degree, share what the problem is. But can we get to some doable requests about this language, the dangers and benefits of this language? And can we come to some agreements about where we'll use it and where we won't? So I could ramble on, and I'll leave it there.
Thanks, Alex. Jury?
Yeah. Well, I'm curious where it will go, and I'm appreciating being, what's that phrase? Progressively less stupid, as Marshall would call it.
Yeah. Great. So that leaves us with about 20 minutes for what it says on the agenda is reactions related to the topic. And Myra, can you say specifically what it is that you'd love?
Hold it. Jim.
Yeah.
Jim.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
We want your reaction.
Oh, you want to know my reaction? Okay. I'm just trying to stay the mutual facilitator here. Okay, so I would say one of my celebrations is really being more present to my own urge to correct or to connect, and to really feel the difference inside of myself from moment to moment. And I take away some inspiration from watching what appeared to be you guys doing the same thing. So I had a sense of camaraderie there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks for dogging for my celebrations. And Myra, what or Allan, what are you hoping for with when you say reactions related to the topic? And the reason I'm asking for the clarity is because I get a little worried that we might go into kind of the topic areas, and it seems to me that what might be most useful to hear, and I want to just check it out with you, is reactions or responses to the process, not to the content. That's what I was thinking about. What works for you, Myra?
I like it. I like what you propose. How about you, Allan?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. So, for example, if I was going to give feedback about the process, what I would say that I learned from and that I expected, because I've been to a few other dialogues like this, and I've known Allan and Myra for a long time, is that there's a pace that's slow, and it seems like there's time to take it in, reflect what the essence of it is, or maybe even the exact words, and then, and only then, proceed with a new parlay, a new piece of something to share. So that's for me. And maybe if people would like to respond to the process, just raise your hand like this, or your electronic hand, so that we don't talk over each other. Or I could do another round, whichever people. Actually, I think I want to do a round, make sure we hear all the voices. And I want to start in a different order. Jamil, and I want to start with you because you're new to me, and I'm really so curious to get to know you a little better. And so, what kind of feedback do you have about the process that you saw Allan and Myra demonstrate living today?
I thought of it often in terms of there's a quote that I have, and it's connection need not require concurrence. And I see it alive. I saw it alive in this interaction. And there's the zealot in me that wants it to be muscular, the exchange, and to be rich, and to be daring, and to still be dignified. So I appreciate you giving credence to my claim that connection need not require concurrence. So that's what I noticed, observed, and celebrate.
Thanks, Jamil. Bob, anything up for you? Feedback about process?
I appreciated what I might call what I interpret as a tenderness to the exchange. The sincerity of an intention to be with one another's hearts. And I'm sitting with, I've been, in some sense, in this conversation with Allan for 6 years. And there are things that I've sort of been waiting for those 6 years to be understood, and I don't have a sense of their being understood yet. And I'm kind of wondering what's in the way of that. So it's just a question that lives in me. It doesn't specifically say anything about the process, but it offers a wondering about, is there something else that could be in the process that would support that sort of thing emerging? And I don't know. So I don't have any specific suggestion.
Thanks, Bob. Hortensia?
I was very impressed by the flow of the listening and the care. A lot of care and a lot of authenticity and I think that is the way that we can go deeper and find a way to understand each other. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope, and then Pam, if you would like to share anything.
Hortensia, you just used the word care, and I very much had that sense. And there's also a trust that I sensed between Allan and Myra, that care would be there, whether you agreed with each other or not, that there was a real there's a real desire and intention to hold each other's perspective dear, and that would stay no matter. So I got that sense.
Thank you. I like taking that in. I certainly got that as well. A sense of love between Myra and Allan. Yeah. Pam, and then Redwan, if you have the energy left to share anything.
For me, there were things I didn't understand about what each person said, so that was a little frustrating. Even when you reflected each other, I still didn't fully understand. The reflections were so close to what each other had said that I didn't have clarity. And then I also have the frustration of this dialogue seemed pretty similar. It was different. There was definitely a new step from the other two, but things that feel really basic to me still haven't been touched on. Like what the woman, I can't remember her name, she brought up twice.
Ella.
Yeah, like she like nobody addressed her description of that story in the high school. And Myra, you brought up that Marshall spoke about structures and domination societies, and nobody related what Marshall spoke about to words like racism and sexism, which to me are pretty much the same things, just specific iterations of domination societies. And so it seems to me like Marshall was actually talking about that. So to say that I mean, and there are some places where, of course, you don't say, just as you said, Myra, and you agreed, Allan, that there's some places where it's not going to be received, so don't say it. But Marshall's saying, let's meet beyond the field of right and wrong, is something that is very hard for a lot of people. And it's very true that a lot of people will not receive that. In fact, Jamil, I'm wondering, Jamil is my friend, by the way, so I can say this. I'm wondering, you know, how is that for you? There's a great what's the word? What's the word when two truths are true and opposite? Not dilemma.
A paradox.
Yeah, it's a paradox. And I think sometimes people are not willing to live with paradox, but Marshall was. So it was hard for me that none of this was touched on yet. And I'm like, how many times do we have to meet? Do we have to dialogue before somebody can address this with the beautiful, beautiful care and trust that you two have?
Thanks, Pam. Redwan, and then Jory.
Okay.
Anybody speak French so that he could translate?
Who can translate? Who can translate?
Yeah, I just wondered whether anybody speaks French here and could translate. To give you ease.
So I met Jeff a few days ago, and he said to me that heart speak all language. And what I appreciate this night for me here, to see between you, Myra, and you, Allan. Thank you a lot from my heart. And because when we speak from the heart with love, all the words can be used. It's what I learned this evening. Thank you.
Jory, and then Alex.
It's so clear to me that it's not what we say, but where we're coming from. And what I'm appreciating tremendously is where you, Myra, and Allan are both coming from in terms of the openness. And the topic is curiouser and curiouser for me.
Thanks, Jory. Alex?
Yeah. Well, my reaction is moving target based on what people have said before me. In response to Jory, I would add my take is both where we're coming from and what we say. Yes, they're both really critical. That's my take. And my reaction to what took place today is, as I was looking at the screen and realizing that there are 10 of us here, and so optimistic, seeing, light at the end of the tunnel, even to paraphrase what Bob didn't say, but I think he meant. And yet, the persons who, in my opinion, are most attached to using certain language that has in the dialogue been acknowledged as both useful and risky are not here. So some sadness about that. A dream that they would be here. So that's my reaction.
Thanks, Alex. How about you, Myra? Any responses or reactions about the process and as you lived it today?
Well, let me see. So I like what someone, I don't remember who, observed, that there were moments that we were in and out, but mostly in, and I'm just speaking for myself. I was, at moments I was out, but I was mostly in the process, in the energy of love, but not perfectly so. But I don't feel regret that I totally disconnected from myself, because I didn't. So I'm pleased, and I'm also pleased that both Allan and I are staying with it. And I'm also very intrigued in terms of process, how to respond in such a way that sheds more clarity. And I'm responding to Pam, that sheds more clarity into what we're saying. Because if we mostly repeat the words, and we did quite a bit of that, then it doesn't shed as much clarity about each other's views, but also in the group that is witnessing this. That's my reaction.
Thanks, Myra. Allan, anything you'd like to say about process reflections?
Well, what I like about what we're doing is what I have said before, and I'm going to say it again now, is that I don't think that we've done our process. I am not aware of our process being done regarding this in the network. And so my belief is that if we do our process, we'll move. And I've felt movement within myself and with Myra, each one of these things. I'm not in the same place as I was in the first one. I'd have to go back and think about it, but I could tell you what's changed for me. I can do that. And I bet Myra can too. So I'm very pleased with what happened. That's my, and also puzzled, and I have a similar one to Myra there, of how can this kind of clarity be brought to Pam? It didn't. So then there's a ooh, but it's not a. It's the reaction, Pam, is one of it's not an ouch, but it's in that it didn't work. It didn't meet you. It didn't do it for you. And how to do that, as well as with Alex, how to bring in those who aren't here, who are, I think, in the most, what I would feel is the most opposition. Yeah, that's what my reaction is.
Thanks. Yeah, I have a little response to all these reactions, and because something else came up for me. Recently, I was preparing for a class and I ran across a Marshall video, and I like to include Marshall in my trainings, these little snippets. And he was talking about a time when he was working with some religious sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he knew he was in trouble because the first thing out of the first person's mouth in the conflict was, "I think." And then the other person would respond with, "Well, I think." And so I noticed a little of that. Oops. I noticed a little of that today. And so what I would have enjoyed hearing more of is to go underneath the thoughts rather than just reflecting what you heard one another say, and get to the needs and make sure that you're in alignment on the needs. And then I think that would unpeel the artichoke so that we could get to the heart of the matter. That's my feedback. Anything either of you would like to say about that?
I really like it. Thank you so much. Please point it out, because I may not even be aware. If we could have a way in which you would say it, that would be helpful to me.
Yeah. Same. The same.
Reminds me of a frame I have on my bumper, on my license plate, which I don't always follow. It says, "Don't believe everything you think."
Amen. Amen. Well, we're coming down to the last 5 minutes here. And I want to see if there's anybody else that had any reflections on the reflections about the process. Because we have go ahead, Pam.
Just because I just want to see if Jamil wants to have I don't think it wasn't in full integrity for me to space on the issue, Jamil, without giving you an opportunity to respond in a public space like this. So I just wanted to see if you had anything that you might want to say. Totally fine if not, but I want to have that invitation.
You'll have to remind me what the response should be too. Because it's just the end of my workday, and so you'll have to remind me. And if it's something I can do within the given time frame, I shall do so. Otherwise, I will press pause.
I think I was talking about can you be in the field of no right and wrong if you're conservative religiously? I think that's what I was kind of moving towards. And you said in the chat that, well, Rumi actually wasn't saying that anyway.
Yeah, so since you publicized it, I'll comment on it. That verse in Rumi's poetry, and I don't know if anyone here is familiar with Farsi and Arabic, it does not refer to the idea of actually having no right and wrong. Rumi, I can speak confidently, would say that would be an impossibility. However, that is referring to the eternal realm of paradise, the garden. That's what he's referring to in the poetry. And that is in the classical literature in both Farsi and Arabic. However, it fits very well with our NVC paradigm. And can someone be, this is another 3-hour discussion perhaps, can someone be in the realm of NVC and still be me? I'm going to use myself as an example to pick on if you want. I think so. I think I'm living it every day, and I do it every day. And if I authentically present, as how Allan described it, as someone who's so right, I'm off the charts. I make Florida look very liberal. So now, can I still roll in NVC? Well, I've been excluded from some circles for declaring how I'm a proponent of things that are so antithetical, seemingly antithetical. Patriarchy, traditional family values, etc.
Mhm.
God-centered paradigm, not human-centered, but God-centered.
Mhm.
Now, can I still be welcomed into NVC circles? I'm trying to find my way.
Mhm.
And Hope knows this because we did training together. But I really desire and long for acceptance and even embrace, not capitulating to anything of what, to use Allan's language, leftwards, political inclinations, but being who I am. If you like, in some people's paradigm, radically right, I'm using that term, and still be, hey, I'm human, can I be accepted? Will you let me in? That's a tough thing to talk about in the matter of time we have left, but yeah, that's a conundrum for me, for sure.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, Jamil. Thank you, thank you. Open arms, open arms.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you're here, and thanks for asking, Pam. A wonderful way to end, I think. And I think the longing in me is, wouldn't it be cool if I mean, I love that Allan and Myra continue to be willing to do this, but wouldn't it be cool to have other people play the game too?
Yes.
It would almost be like a podcast where Jamil talks to, I don't know, me. Maybe I'm the opposite end of the spectrum. I don't know. We'd have to talk to find out. And Pam talks to whoever, and so that we actually see that it's not just Allan and Myra that can live this process. But if you're a certified trainer and you have your spiritual clarity, you can do this with anybody, anytime. That's my belief.
Yes.
So anyway, thank you all for participating.
Love that proposal. Let's pick up on it.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Aloha, everybody. Thank you, Allan and Myra. Appreciate it. Thank you all for coming. Bye-bye.
Bye.
God bless. Bye-bye now.